I didn't realise that was the thing that I was curious about, but it was really important to me. Our day was a family. I've got to control my own diary.
Thank you so much for coming, first of all. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of people in the audience are looking forward to this. There's a lot of female entrepreneurs, female advisors and business owners in the room as well who are particularly excited. So I want to break this interview down into 4 stages. Yep. I want to talk about the early days, so maybe it's your first business, how that kind of went, the pros and cons, the lessons, the good bits, the bad bits. Then the exciting bit, the Dragon's Den bit, the building multiple companies, multiple exits, a little bit about what we're doing now, what businesses you're involved in now, and then we'll maybe extract and pluck out some lessons towards the end of that. So let's start off with, how did it start for Sarah Willingham?
So I wasn't brought up around entrepreneurs or people who had their own business. My dad worked for Wedgwood in Stoke and my mum was a maths teacher. But I was always really curious about business. I didn't realise that was the thing that I was curious about, but I was always really fascinated how we gravitated towards the same brands, bought the same stuff, wore the same trainers. How was that? And ultimately, I also really wanted to travel. And my dad wouldn't let me have a gap year because he said, "Our Sarah, if you go and have a gap year, you'll never come back," which might have been true, but... So when I left uni, I did business at university and actually found the thing that I was really interested in. I loved consumer-facing stuff. I loved talking to the customer, understanding the customer and learning how to talk to the customer to get them to buy from you or to use you ultimately. But in my 20s, I wanted to travel and I found my thing in hospitality and I was at Pizza Express and opened restaurants all over the world. I ran the international department and I had no intention at this point of going on my own because actually I was learning and I loved it and I loved what I was doing. I loved learning and it seemed like every single day was a school day. And then as I got towards the end of my 20s, I'm sort of fast forwarding quite a lot now to how did I end up starting on my own. I'd realised that international development was not, I couldn't continue to live out of a suitcase if I was going to have a family. And I really wanted to be a mum. It was really important to me. And I realised that actually I couldn't stay on the path that I was on. I was going to have to move and do something different. So I went to the board of Pizza Express and I said, look, I can't continue to do this. It's not really core business for you. I'm going to leave and do something different. And they said, why don't you stay and work for us? And this was for the board and do what they called special projects. And my dad always said they're the first people to get made redundant. He's probably right, but if the business is going well, you're actually in for a really good ride at the time because you do loads of really fun stuff. Anyway, during that year, I shared an office with the CEO and the managing director of Pizza Express. And this is at the time when Pizza Express were opening 40 restaurants a year. It was a floated business. It was doing really well. And growing up in the hospitality industry during my 20s, I'd looked at these people. They were the benchmark. They had the simple, replicable business model that everybody wanted to copy. And I'd really held them up on a pedestal and thought, these are the smartest people in the world. And I shared an office with them for a year. And during the course of that year, I just asked all the questions. And by the end of that year, I realised that actually I really understood what they did. I really got it. And that was when I thought to myself, if I want to have a family, I've got to control my own diary. I needed to make a bit of cash, actually, because that helped me with my freedom. And by the end of that year, I thought, I understand what you do. I understand why they used equity when they used it, why they used debt, how they expanded, what their return on investment model was. And I thought to myself, right, I'm going to go and do it myself. And
how old were you at that point?
I think 28.
28, okay.
Yeah, I no longer have the 30 under 30 title, but I did have it once, but you can't use it anymore. I'm way too old. It just doesn't have credibility when I get up on the stage. But yeah, so that was my deciding moment where something clicked in my head, and I realized that actually it was nowhere near as complicated as I thought it was, that I could just give this a go and do it myself. And so I looked around in the market and thought, what is it that we all love, but there's no real chain, there's no real group? And that was Indian food. And I said, right, that's it. I'm going to have the largest chain of Indian restaurants in the UK. And that was what I went on and did.
So that was the goal.
That was the goal.
Point, the largest,
that's what I went on and did. Yeah. And that was a big moment. But what had happened during that period was that I'd kind of really simplified it in my head. And instead of it all seeming so complex and so complicated, I'd kind of broken it down and gone, actually, it's not that hard. And I think, Sarah, with a fair wind and surround yourself with great people and just keep asking questions, you've got this. And that was it. That was when I made the move to do it on my own.
Love it. So the curiosity from being young helped you because you were so curious to learn from the guys there. That you learned everything ready for you and for yourself.
No question was ever a stupid question because I was just Sarah the Small from Stoke at the time, and you can just ask as many questions as you want and everybody just answers them, and by the end of it you're like, actually you're not all nobody's that smart, like we're all as smart as each other. Actually we can work it out as long as you're open and ask the right questions of the right people.
Love it. Like having a mentor, right? It's learning from others.
Totally.
Nobody's really self-made, are they?
I mean, I
from others.
Constantly say to my team, you don't need to know the answer. You just need to know that there is a question that needs asking, and you need to know who to phone. And life is about, I think, knowing who your phone a friend is in a time, knowing that this is a moment where actually I don't know the answer. I mean, we've just heard about a great way of using AI for that, actually, and I think I use AI for that a lot. Often it's a sense check, but I also still have, a guy in my phone who's in as Yoda, who is brilliant. He always answers the question, but it's just about knowing that there is a question in the first place, I think. Being curious enough to realise this is a moment where I might get this wrong, I should sense check it.
Curiosity is a fantastic trait.
It is.
Completely great, love it. So how old was that then, 28 did you say?
About 28, yes.
So let's talk about that journey. So 28, set up your first business, all of a sudden Dragon's Den, like what's that look like?
Yeah, so that then did really well, and I grew that, met my husband and started to have my children, and I had 4 kids in 4 years, so I had them really, really close together.
Wow.
And then that was a careful what you wish for moment as well, where I was like, I had 1,500 staff and just about to have my third. Actually, I was pregnant with my third baby.
So you were still running the companies?
Still running all the companies.
Yeah, wow.
But you see, when you've got one baby, they're really portable, right? Because you just put them in a papoose and off you go. But the challenge came when I then had another one, and so I could take my second everywhere with me, but my first was like a toddler, and she was no longer portable. And then, of course, as you start, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I don't have enough hands. It's just not possible. So I ended up selling the Bombay Bicycle Club before I had number 3. So I just had 2 at the time when I sold. And then realised that, again, to be in control of my own diary, I didn't want to go back, and I was unemployable by that point, I think. You can't. So I started investing.
Okay.
And that worked really, really well, actually. I'd made some money from the Bombay Bicycle Club, and I started doing lots of different investments in different sectors where I was quite an active investor, so I could actually work with entrepreneurs, but nobody else was reliant on me getting up in the morning other than my own family. And that really moved the needle for me, sort of personally, made a real difference in my own work-life balance, if you want to call it that, but me just getting it right for me. And then I'd been doing quite a lot. I'd set up a business that didn't do particularly well, an online kind of like a money-saving expert type of business years and years ago now, must be 20 years ago. Didn't do particularly well. It didn't fail, but I didn't make hundreds of millions out of it. And off the back of that, I was doing quite a lot of TV. And Michael and I used to do this thing every year. I'm obsessed with time, like absolutely obsessed with how I spend my time. It's the one thing I know I'm not going to get back, and it's the one thing I hold most precious, is the value of my own time. And Michael and I used to do this thing at the beginning of every year where, this makes it sound really boring, I promise, we actually do have a lot of fun as well. We do this like a pie chart of time. And the reason we do a pie chart is because when you look at something as a pie chart, you realize the relativity of time. And we used to sit and go through this pie chart and say, how do we want to spend our year learning from what we did in previous years? And this particular year, I'd been doing a lot of media, so quite a lot of TV, but just like I had my own radio show on LBC, I had my own series on Sky, I'd like that type of consumer expert type of thing. And we'd gone through my pie chart and all the way that I wanted to spend my time, and ultimately you end up, something has to give, right? Because you can't do everything. You see the relativity of it, and it becomes a bit of a compromise. And so I decided, what am I doing all this media for? Like, I don't even particularly enjoy it. I don't really know why I'm doing it. So I decided I was going to give up all the TV. That was a big chunk of this pie chart, and I was going to stop doing it. Anyway, the final bit that I gave up, it was just one afternoon, and I used to do my regular TV show with Eamon Holmes, and so I just phoned him to say, thank you for all your support over the years. I'm actually going to stop doing this. And then I phoned Michael, I said, right, I've done it, that's it, all the TV. This is like March time, and we did this end of January. I've said I finally kind of almost like handed my notice in, as it were, on all the media. And that afternoon, I kid you not, I got an email to say, would you come and screen test for Dragon's Den?
Really?
And I was like, oh, you can't unsee it. And I was like, oh, that's the one show. Because we were very active investors at the time and doing quite a lot. Anyway, I thought, well, I'll never get it, but what a laugh. I'll go along, I'll meet Deborah Meaden, maybe we'll become best friends, that'll be great.
Who was on the show when you were on it then?
So when I did it, there was 3 of us that were new that year. There was Nick Jenkins, Moonpig. Oh, yes, yeah. Great guy, really smart, really great guy. Tuka, who I think is still on it, actually, yeah. Deborah, Peter, and me.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, I went along to the screen test, and then it was supposed to be, they'd had a dropout, and they were screen testing loads more women, and it was supposed to be Tamara Mellon. Do you remember Jimmy Choo, the Jimmy Choo lady? Okay, yeah. She was supposed to be on it, but I think there'd been like loads of bad press or something, and so they'd started screen testing again. So it all happened really, really quickly. And then, Dragon's Den, and it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it was fantastic, really fantastic.
So you'd done the Indian chain, you'd invested in multiple businesses up until that point. Roughly how far from selling to Dragon's Den was it, just for a timeline?
So how old was Marley? So 2015, 2016, I was on Dragon's Den, and I sold Bombay 2009.
Yeah, cool.
2008, 9.
Investing 7-ish years. And what had you invested in that period before Dragon's Den? Was it all hospitality?
No, not at all. So both Michael and I invest together. He likes he likes more B2B businesses, and I like B2C businesses. So a mixture, all different kinds. Everything from this business called Credit Kudos that did really well, that sold to Apple. That was online. They did your credit check, like a more sophisticated credit check, a business called Feast It that's like, we did quite a lot of marketplaces actually, Secret Spa, Together, I'm gonna have to remember them now. There was a book business that we've still got an investment in. I mean, we've still got probably 13, 14 quite active investments. That we're still quite a big part of, but we do different ones. And we've just invested in a water brand that's launched here in the UK, but it's also trying to launch in America. So I think that'll be fun. So there's various different, really varied. About you. Yeah, really varied, really varied.
I want to come back to what businesses you invested in things soon, but just continuing that timeline. So from Dragon's Den. Tell us some exciting bits in that journey. So any particular companies you invested in, exited, and anything that kind of happened from the Dragon's Den point?
I mean, Dragon's Den was so fun. You literally sit in a seat.
Who's your favourite dragon, by the way? Can I ask?
I couldn't possibly say.
Your second favourite?
I can say no. I'm actually still really close with Nick and Deborah.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick is a really great guy, really clever. Not interested in any of the media side of it at all, just a really smart, just really good human. He's just a really good guy, and his Moonpig business was brilliant. He did his MBA at the same place I did mine, which was at Cranfield, and when he was there, he sat and wrote 3 business plans, and all completely different, and in the end went, I'm going to do that one, and it was Moonpig. Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Does he still own Moonpig?
No, he sold it. He exited before he did Dragons, actually, to Photo something or other. Can't remember. Really big online. I can't remember, but really big online photo printing type of company. But it still goes on. I think he retained a small shareholding, but and he also invests. Continues to invest. Yeah, really good. Really
Do you think you'll ever stop? A couple of questions on this point. Have you still got that curious aspect here now, and do you think you'll just keep investing in more and more companies, or you kind of got a stopgap in mind or a line in the sand? What does that look like?
I think if it's in you, you'll always do it. I mean, I said I was done starting my own businesses. Actually, when I was doing Dragon's Den, I said I wouldn't do another one, and I did. 4 years ago, we started a new business called Nightcap, which is late night, like hospitality and leisure, basically. And we floated that in 21. Really successful flows, but although the last 3 years have been tough actually in that industry, really tough. But I always said I'd never do another business, like really publicly said I was never ever going to start another business, and here I am, I've started another business. So I think if you're an adrenaline junkie, you're an adrenaline junkie, and if it's in you, you'll always keep doing it. But I try to get my fix out of the investments rather than me having to do it myself.
Do you think that's what it is, what makes entrepreneurs keep going? And clearly it's not a financial thing anymore. Is it that buzz? Is it that, you mentioned adrenaline junkie? Is that what you were doing it for?
I think so. I think I'm a problem solver. Like that's what I enjoy the most. I like finding solutions for things. And I like hustling my way through and finding another route and another way. And I get a real buzz out of it. I really, really enjoy it. I like building teams. I like seeing people flourish. I like seeing businesses grow. I think, and when you're good at something, you tend to really enjoy it. I think you find your thing, and I now love working with other people. Like I love working with other businesses. I've got some investments where I've got chair roles or even just sort of advisory roles where I just help people out and work with entrepreneurs, and I really enjoy that a lot. And I love learning about new industries that I've actually never been part of, which is really great.
Do you buy into that theme? Because some people contradict this. Some people say only do things that you enjoy, you're passionate about. Some people have the view of, well, it's got to be done, you've got to do it. Are you just doing things that you want to do and enjoy, or are you still doing things that you sometimes don't?
I mean, I think in the context of either being an investor or having your own business, there's always a load of stuff that we'd all rather not be doing.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's got that luxury, I don't think.
That's a really important message, because I've heard plenty of people online